Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. My name is Steve Eunice. In this, our September 25th, 2018 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray release of Superman the movie. We're also going to be talking about the 40th anniversary of Superman, Christopher Reeve's birthday, and so much more. We're going to be turning to you to take your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss and let you know how all that works. Let me introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
It's kind of coincidence that Superman is getting a 4K release because I'm also getting a 4K release later in the No, that's a terrible joke. Hey Steve, hey everybody. Now, since WGBS Live is all about Superman, we want to hear from the Superman fans that are watching us live on Facebook. So around the halfway mark of the show, and if we don't have too much on the docket, we'll start taking your calls. To do this, you'll need Skype. Get on Skype, find Superman homepage, and message us that you'd like to join, and please wait for us to get back to you. And we'll try to get you on the show, and remember, as always, please turn down your sound before you get on the show, because there's a delay.
That's right.
That causes problems.
100%. Now, if you're watching this live via Facebook or our website, then we thank you for joining us tonight. If you're watching via Facebook, there's the comments section on the left or the right, below, whatever it is. We invite you to use your comments and ask questions as the show goes on, and Michael and I will keep an eye on those comments as the show continues to react to them as necessary. And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Tina Murray, Douglas Meacham and Henry Bernstein. We appreciate your support of the show. Well, Mike, it's been an interesting week. It just seems like we're back in 1978 all over again, but how's your week been?
It's been okay, just very busy. Basically, since we last talked, I have worked like every single day. So a lot of faking it tonight, but that might actually make things more interesting because I'm feeling a little punch drunk too. So I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth.
Could be interesting then. All right, well, let's start with movie news as we always like to do. And just literally hours before we've gone live tonight, Warner Brothers Home Entertainment and DC Entertainment announced that 1978 Superman the movie, featuring the beloved DC superhero Superman, will be getting its release on Ultra HD Blu-ray Combo Pack and digital on November 6th. We'd already previously announced the 4K Ultra HD release, but now we know it will be released on November 6th, and it's kind of fitting that the announcement came today on September 25th because it's Christopher Reeve's birthday. He would have been 66.
So the joke I want to make is, I guess the next edition is a time machine to go back and watch them film the movie, so that you can actually feel like you're in the room with them. It's kind of interesting because, from what I understand, it's the theatrical cut, which is interesting when you think about it, because when it came to DVD, they did some things to it and added some footage, and it was, I guess we can call that the Donner cut of Superman the movie. And they played with the sound, and now you have it on, 4K Ultra HD. So this is like top of the line, the best picture quality ever. So let's go with the theatrical cut. Some people are upset by this that I've been seeing. Some people are happy about it. I'm with Mike Zumo in the comments. I'm not buying new tech to buy the movie for the umpteenth time that I bought it. If I ever get a 4K television and a 4K player, I'll buy it. But I'm not gonna upgrade everything just to get this edition. I mean, it's cool. I'm glad Superman the movie is getting this treatment, but I've never even seen a 4K television, so I don't even know what the difference in picture quality would be.
Yeah, it is pretty. My parents have a 4K TV, and you go onto, because there's not many things that are actually broadcast in 4K, so it's all about. And they don't have a 4K Blu-ray player. They don't even have a Blu-ray player, but you can go onto YouTube and because they're smart TVs, you can find 4K video footage that it's crisp, it's clear, it's amazingly really the colours and that just pop out. So there is quite a difference, and a noticeable difference. But I'm with you. I don't have a 4K TV, I don't have a 4K Blu-ray player, so it's one of those things where no, I'm not going to just upgrade all my equipment just for this one movie, but I probably would buy it just to have it there, so that in the future sometime, if I do upgrade my TV, and let's face it, every 10 years or so you probably will, but so then I could pop it in and have a look, just like I did with Blu-rays. I didn't have a Blu-ray player for a while, and then had bought certain things on Blu-ray, and now that I do have a Blu-ray player, I can enjoy them. But for those who do have it, fantastic, because as it says here, it's 4K resolution with high dynamic range and wider color spectrum. The feature will also have Dolby Vision HDR that dramatically expands the color palette and contrast range, and uses dynamic metadata to automatically optimize the picture for every screen frame by frame. Will also feature Dolby Atmos soundtrack remixed specifically for the home theater environment to place and move audio anywhere in the room, including overhead. So that's pretty impressive that it can do that. And that's the back of the Blu-ray, which I haven't seen too many websites showing when they're promoting or announcing this press release. But there is the back of the Ultra HD Blu-ray pack with special features, including commentary by producers Pierre Spengler and executive producer Ilya Salkind on both the 4K and Blu-ray, the making of Superman the movie, 1978 TV special, theatrical trailers, TV spots, and more.
Yeah, I also want to be snarky and note that Christopher Reeve isn't smiling on the cover. Sorry, that was terrible. No, I like that they're adding that making of special.
Yeah.
It was the summer of 1990. I was about 14 years old, and WPIX, Channel 11 out of New York, which is one of the stations, the cable package that my family had picked up, showed both the making of Superman 1 and Superman 2, and I taped it, and I literally watched that tape until it fell apart. It just, it started getting like warps in it and all that. So that was why I was so excited when it came to the DVD set from 2006, except is it the Superman 2 one where everyone is talking like the sound has been pitched down? And it's just like, how do you screw that up? So, but no, I'm really glad that they included that, because it's a great making of special. It's not like one of these DVD specials today where they get into the nitty gritty of what was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But it was more like, look what we did.
Yes. And celebrating
the Marlon Brando interviews are just worth the price of admission. So
it's released on November 6th, and you can pre-order it now through wbshop.com. There are links on our website for that, so if you are going to buy it, then please do it through our website. There's also a special Superman the movie 4K Ultra HD plus 80th anniversary Flying Superman pop vinyl figure set that WB Shop has as an exclusive, and the link for that is on our website too. So you get the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack and that pop vinyl figure where Superman's flying with his fist up. So if you want to get that together as a pack, then get that through our website. The links, as I said, are on our website.
Yeah, I kind of want the look over there, pop vinyl from that one picture of Christopher Reeve pointing to the sky.
Yeah, that'd be cool. There's so many different, I've done the shirt rip one, so why not that pointing in the sky one? I think that would be an awesome image. Now, speaking of Superman the movie, Fandango and Fathom Events have teamed up to bring Superman fans the opportunity to see the movie on the big screen again 40 years later, across November 25th. From November 25th, certain select screens in the USA will be showing Superman the movie. I think at this stage there's a Sunday, November 25th, 2 p.m. time slot, and a Tuesday, November 27th, 7 p.m. time slot. And again, the link to that is on our website. So if you are going to buy your tickets to see the screening of Superman the movie across the USA, then go through our website to buy them.
So John in the the comments asked what version it's going to be, and looking at the Fandango site, it's 2 hours and 35 minutes. Now, the theatrical cut, if I'm remembering correctly, was... How many minutes was that? 144 minutes, so that's 2 hours, 24 minutes. So I'm assuming that by it being 2 hours and 35 minutes, that it's the special edition with the footage added back in. So I'm not quite sure. It doesn't specify, of course, because Fandango and Fathom Events isn't that nerdy in their descriptions. But now I have to. It's kind of a weird weekend because that's the weekend after Thanksgiving here in the States. So I may have to go to the Tuesday showing because I doubt I'm getting that weekend off. But or any of the days of that weekend off. But no, I'm really excited about this. It's something that we've been kind of wanting since this year started. I remember if we go back to the tape, literally, you can hear us or see us talking about wanting to have this happen. And the guys over at the Superman Movie Minute podcast, Rob and Chris, actually got a Twitter thing going where they were trying to convince them to do this. So it's really cool. And it's not that expensive. The only thing that I'm really kind of worried about is, are they just going to show kind of like the Blu-ray or the DVD of the special edition, or is it actually going to be the film? Because it's like, do I really want to spend $13 to go to a movie theater and watch a DVD? I guess is my overall question there.
Yeah, I understand your thoughts on that. I think the only kind of answer to that is whether or not it's a DVD or a Blu-ray being put in, is seeing it on a massive screen, if depending on your theater, and also seeing it with an audience is a different experience as well. So whatever the medium they're using to show the movie, being in an audience and seeing it together is an experience in and of itself. And there's already been a screening of the movie in London. Des Taylor, who's, if you've seen his artwork at despopart.com, is a big fan of Superman and pop culture and does some great artwork. He attended the 40th anniversary screening of Superman the movie at the Picture House Central in London on Sunday, September 23rd, and videoed some of the Q&A panel at the end of it with Pierre Spengler, and captured some video that he posted on Facebook. I'll play a little bit of it here. The audio is not the greatest on it, but I'll show that bit of that to you right now. And it does rotate at the beginning because he's obviously tried to put it sideways and it hasn't worked. So here is some of what he recorded from that screening in London.
However, the structure that created remains in this film and the second film. The whole Krypton, the three villains in the second film, all of that was original. But then we engaged a director. He was the first director engaged on the film was Guy Hamilton, and with him we decided on the team of David and Leslie Newman and Ron Benton as writers to transform the script delivered by Mario, and that was pretty much. I mean, there were a lot of things from the Newmans and Benton that are still in the movie,
so that's some of it there. It's hard to really hear. As I said, the volume is pretty low on that, and so it's probably worth putting in headphones and pulling up the volume full blast when you head to our website to watch the two video snippets that Des managed to capture from that particular Q&A at the Picture House Central in London.
Yeah, I mean, and I think they showed a print of the theatrical cut, which is kind of cool there. But seeing, with everybody that they could talk to, it's really kind of interesting to have Pierre Spengler there. I know that the whole behind the scenes, the producers and the director and all that contentious, and fans have to pick a side. But without Pierre Spengler and the Salkinds, you're not getting Superman on the big screen. So it's interesting to kind of see that that he's getting to talk about it, in the present.
And it was a 35mm print, I believe, that they actually used for that screening. So that's impressive. And they kind of gave a little bit of a disclaimer saying, there might be some scratches and some pops and that in the screening of this, but it gives you an authentic look at what might have been seen back in 1978 when they were showing it off a print, an actual 35mm film print.
Yeah, back in, it was 20 years ago now that I think about it, 98, they had that Warner Brothers Roadshow thing where they went to different cities in the United States and showed different Warner Brothers films to celebrate the anniversary of the studio. And I remember people complaining that the Superman the movie print was kind of scratchy and kind of looking the worse for wear. But again, when were you going to see that on the big screen again? So, I think with certain films you kind of accept it because you want the experience. And I was being kind of a grumbly Gus before, but still, it's something that if you didn't get that. Like I didn't get that. I was 2 years old when this film came out. My parents weren't taking me to the movies, and I have very dim memories of advertisings for one of the re-releases. But it's just really cool that they're kind of giving it its due at its on its 40th anniversary.
Yeah, I remember it might have been around the same time back in the late 90s. Maybe even not that long ago, going to see a screening of Superman the movie at a small cinema here, and it was an actual movie print, and you got the scratches and you got the little bit of hairs that kind of stick out on the side that wobble around a little bit, and things that just happen on an actual film reel, and it kind of just gave that authenticity and kind of took me back to my childhood watching kind of movies like that. I guess it's for people who grew up with vinyl records, just hearing the scratch and pop of listening to records on the needle, a similar kind of thing. But we are showing our age.
Yeah, well, my facial hair is showing my age, so I'm not too concerned about that. Bobby in the I keep wanting to call it the Flash chat because that's what we referred to it for like 15 years. Says that Shazam might be the first DC comedy in the DCEU. I don't know, man. BVS was kind of funny in places.
Get off my lawn!
I didn't fight no WW2 to have you kids messing up my lawn.
There you go. Alright, well, so that's pretty much where we're at with movie stuff. It's all been about 1978 Superman the movie, the 40th anniversary, screenings, 4K Blu-rays coming out, but sadly no news about an upcoming Superman film. We do know that there is a new Supergirl movie in the process, but there's nothing on the front of Henry Cavill returning as Superman. We spoke at length last week about the rumours and speculation, but while he won't be making a cameo appearance in the Shazam film, as we thought at first, there's just no plans at this point in time to make another Superman movie, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens with Henry Cavill, and any future Superman movie news we'll keep you posted if and when we hear anything.
Oh, they're totally recasting, right? It's going to be a whole new thing, and Warner Brothers is going to rename itself something else and whatever. But let's create a rumor and see if we can get it, to see if the clickbait sites pick up on it. I think that'll be great.
Alright, so let's move on to the TV side of things, and we only have one little bit of news for Supergirl fans, and that was a video posted by the CW in which Jesse Rath, who plays Brainiac 5, looks back at some of his favourite moments from Season 3. Let's play that video right now for you, right here on WGBS TV Live.
I assessed you as a first-level intellect.
Thank you.
As reference, I'm a 12th.
Oh, yes, you've mentioned that.
All the scenes with Wynn are hilarious and amazing because Jeremy's so good at what he does.
But now that I've gotten to know you, I realize that you're actually more accurately categorized.
When you pull their hair because you like them, I kind of feel like that's my relationship with Win. Like, he won't ever admit that he thinks he's smart. He'll kind of try to, like, undercut him at every corner. But I think deep down, he does think he's smart, and in fact, he's relying on him to save everyone by going to the future.
Wanna? Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
So there you have it. There's some of the video of Jesse Ruff's favourite scenes from Supergirl Season 3. And I think it's a shame that we won't see Jeremy Jordan as a cast regular in Season 4.
Yeah, it's like we talked about before, though. He is such an amazing talent that I'm surprised we've kept him for this long. Though, let me ask you a question. Jesse, the guy playing Brainiac 5, Jesse Ruff, do you think if they replaced him in like a Justice League sequel as the Flash, that anybody would really notice? Because he and Ezra Miller have like a really similar vibe. It's not a bad thing. This isn't me insulting Ezra Miller, because it seems like they both kind of occupy that, having a certain comedic style and an uncertainty to them. And they kind of look alike a little bit too, but maybe I'm just crazy on that one.
Yeah, no, I can see the vibe thing that you're talking about. They just have similar type of personalities there, but yeah, Ezra Miller, I saw him in a horror film when he was younger, as a kid. I think it was We Need to Talk About Kevin or something like that, and geez, he was freaky. Wow, scary
that
as.
Doesn't surprise me.
Scary,
that doesn't surprise me at all. He seems like he could do like the type of uncertain and kind of lack of self-confidence could easily turn evil very quickly, so I can totally see that.
Alright, well, don't forget, Season 4 of Supergirl will premiere on the CW on Sunday, October 14th at 8 p.m, so we're only a couple of weeks away from seeing the return of Supergirl on our screens, and looking forward to seeing where Season 4 goes. Alright, well, we're going to take a quick break. We're not yet quite at the halfway mark, but I want to take a quick break now so that we can come back on the flip side and do our monthly segments, our Super Secret Soundbite and the Big Question. So back with those right after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
You can make them fly or jump or crash or walk. Superhero action figures over 7 inches tall.
Each sold separately.
Superman, Batman, Incredible Hulk. You can make them do their thing. Even make Spider-Man slide down a string. Lots of action for one and all. Action figures over 7 inches tall.
These superhero action figures each sold separately. Batman, Superman, Incredible Hulk, and Spider-Man. Each sold separately. By Mego.
And we're back on WGBS TV Live. Bring back some memories, those Mego TV commercials.
A couple of years ago, I was listening to a podcast that was covering the history of Mego, which was kind of it's fascinating, especially when you get into how the company kind of folded. And they played the audio from this Toy Fair reel where they were just unveiling all the new heroes. And the funniest one to me was they were like, and new for whatever year it was, the Fantastic Four. with Mr. Fantastic and in the Invisible Woman, who have the exact same powers. And I'm like, there's something wrong with this. That's not how that works. But no, I had Migos when I was a kid. I was a really little kid. But Migos were my first superhero toys.
There you go. I'm sure they were for many people of similar vintage.
Again, we're old.
All right. Well, let's move into the big question segment of our show, and I'm just going to play the intro right now.
Let's start with the big question.
Yes, the big question for last month was, who would you like to see cast as Lois Lane? Just put myself back there. Who would you like to see cast as Lois Lane for the CW's upcoming superhero crossover? And while we do now know that the actress who will be playing that role, this was asked before that casting announcement was made, and we only had one respondent, and that is Patrick Van Pelt, who wrote in saying that he'd like to see Smallville's Supergirl alumni Laura Vandervoort playing Lois Lane. I'm not sure that she would be my first choice or my 10th choice, but fair enough. Thank you, John, for your answer.
Yeah, I'm not with John on that one, but it's not that I don't think she would do I think she would do a bad performance. I just, it's just there's something about her that doesn't strike me particularly as Lois Lane. Then again, I probably have seen her in too many Christmas movies, so that's probably coloring my perceptions of her as an actress.
Yeah. So that was the only respondent that we had to the big question. So maybe we'll get more responses to our new big question, which is, when did you first see Superman the movie? Now, we've all seen the movie, so there should be plenty of people responding to this one. Now, whether you're old enough to have seen it in the theatre back in 1978, maybe you saw it for the first time on television when they did that two-night special screening, or you've seen it since, on VHS or whatever the case may be. Let us know when was the first time you saw Superman the movie, and maybe you want to give us a bit of background information on how that happened, who you were with, what age you were, that kind of stuff. And to do that, don't answer now. Get into the big question segment of our show by going to the Superman homepage website. Under the Contact Us menu, you will see the big question where you can fill out the form and send your entry in, and we will read out the entries that we received, the answers to this question, in our show at the end of October. So our last Tuesday of October, we will be answering and reading out the responses to the big question segment at this on this very show. So people are already responding. Don't respond now. Respond to the big question segment
It's gonna be a big
feedback
fun.
form. So
don't ruin it. I mean, we've got to have something for next month.
That's right.
Steve and I will probably talk about our first time seeing it as well.
Yeah, for sure. So get involved with the new big question segment of our show. As I said, contact us menu at the Superman homepage, find the big question and send your answer in. You can go to as much detail as you'd like. Alright, so let's move into the super secret soundbite.
Only one thing alive with less than 4 legs can hear this frequency, Superman, and that's you.
And last month we played the sound which came from the Death of Superman animated movie. Now, surprisingly, with it only just being a recent release, nobody guessed it right. So let's replay that old sound for you from last month and maybe refresh your memory.
I don't know where you came from, but I'm sending you back.
Yeah, there it was. That was Superman talking to Doomsday. And don't know where you came from, but I'm sending you back. And that came from the Death of Superman animated movie. And as I said, nobody guessed it right. So let's see if more people can guess where in the world of Superman this new sound comes from. Here it is.
Fresh air? Fresh air. Fresh air, sure.
Well, there you have it. If you think you know where in the world of Superman that sound came from, then send your entry in. Go to the Superman homepage website. Under the Contact Us menu, you will see the super secret soundbite, and you'll be able to fill out the form there, and we will read the names of every person who guesses it right in next month's show at the end of October.
To answer one of the questions in the comments, Bobby Sperling asks if Laura Vandervoort was already Brainiac on Supergirl. She wasn't technically Brainiac. She was Indigo.
That's right.
Which was kind of a progeny of Brainiac. So, man, maybe having her come back and knocking heads with Brainiac 5 might make for an interesting episode next season.
Indeed. So they are the segments that we do on a regular basis here on WGBS TV Live once a month. So get involved with both the Big Question segment and the Super Secret Soundbite. And as I said, we will come back with the answers and responses to those on the last Tuesday of October. Alright, pushing on. Let's move into comic book side of things. And it was announced this week that the Heroes in Crisis 7-issue miniseries will now be a 9-issue miniseries. It was announced that the extra 2 issues will expand on the story being told by Tom King and artist Clay Mann, with added artists who have we got? We've got Lee Weeks and Mitch Gerards providing art for the added issues, and these issues will provide added insight into the epic tale, with issue 3 and issue 7 being the 2 inserted issues, if you like, and then the original 7 will go around that and fill out the 9 issues all up.
I'm fascinated by this because it's rare that they expand an issue count on something like this. I guess pre-orders in that first issue must have been amazing for them to kind of expand it at this point.
Yeah, so it is an interesting one. It's it says here that it will introduce a new generation of readers to the concept of a crisis within the DC universe. This time, instead of a reality-ending event, this crisis is ripped from real-world headlines. How do superheroes handle PTSD? How do DC's Trinity, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman handle the traumas and anxieties of fighting crime and saving the world over and over again? And what happens when the safeguards that have been in place for years fail? So, yeah, interesting. There seems to be a lot of hype around this particular series, and Tom King has kind of got the records on the board, being an Eisner Award winner himself.
Yeah, I mean, I've been interested in this since they first announced it because I like the idea of not only exploring the concept of how heroes deal with trauma, outside of going out at night and beating up on criminals, but also just kind of exploring what PTSD is. It's kind of interesting that for a lot of people they think it's something that soldiers exclusively get. And you could look at superheroes as being a kind of soldiers, but PTSD, trauma is trauma. So kind of maybe bringing this concept out, talking about it, normalizing it, might bring more awareness of it for people who might be having a problem, might be suffering from this, and maybe they'll use this as like their springboard to get the help they need, because even though it's insanely expensive here in the States, but that's a rant for another time.
Well said. All right, and Heroes in Crisis #1 is hitting shelves September 26th, so tomorrow you'll be able to pick up the first issue of this now 9-issue limited series, so make sure you do that. And speaking of comic books coming out this week, probably now is a good time to go through the list of the books that you'll be able to purchase this week, and there is quite a good sized list available, so let's go through them. We have the Death of Superman Part 1 Chapter 10, The Wake digital comic, out at the moment. I think it's already out this week. They come out on Tuesdays, I think. Then you have Action Comics number 1003, which is available in a variant cover as well. It says, "Can even Batman save the Man of Steel?" So there's a variant cover, and then there's a second variant cover by Manipool there. I think the first one was David Mack, I think is his name. This one's Francis Manipool. And then you also have Doomsday Clock number... What number are we up to? 7. And that is also available in a variant cover. Yeah, you just kind of lose track. These books seem to come out rarely. So then you have Heroes in Crisis, as I mentioned, which is available in a number of variant covers. You have the Death of Superman cover there. You have a Harley Quinn and Booster Gold cover. You have another Harley Quinn looking quite dastardly there, and also the Trinity cover there, as well as a blank variant cover, and these are coming out on a more regular basis, where you get to either take them to a convention or draw your own cover on them, but a lot of people take them to a convention and get one of their favourite artists to draw a particular image on it that they like and get it signed or whatever. Also out this week is Action Comics 1000, the deluxe the deluxe edition hardcover. You knew it was coming, Michael.
Yes, we did. I am not surprised at all.
Also out this week is DC Superhero Girls Search for Atlantis trade paperback. We also have the Final Crisis 10th Anniversary Omnibus hardcover. You knew that was coming as well, Michael.
That's the second omnibus they've done. Now, I'm not one to talk because I am seriously considering the new printing of the Death of Superman omnibus. But this is the second time they've released this in an omnibus form. No, I'm wrong. Sorry. I'm going to apologize to DC Comics, which is something I rarely do. They had the Absolute Edition. I don't think they've actually had an omnibus of Final Crisis yet.
Correct.
So, 10th anniversary of Final Crisis. Really? It's been 10 years?
I know. And lastly, Super Sons Volume 3 Parent Trap trade paperback is also out this week. Alright, so there are the comic books coming out this week. Action Comics 1003 obviously being the big one for Superman fans.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. They did the really daring thing of having Batman on the cover. He's not a popular character, so I'm kind of surprised they put him on the cover.
Probably trying to up his sales a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to get caught up on everything. Actually, things have been piling up, but I've been trying to keep current with those at least. Though I did catch up with Doomsday Clock because they went to that irregular printing, that irregular release schedule. So the last 3 issues kind of piled up. I have no idea how to feel about that story yet. Yeah. It is really weird. It just keeps happening, and I'm like, parts of it are kind of interesting and compelling, but then there's other parts of it like, wow, Jeff, I thought you got this out of your system like 10 years ago. So
I know, and it kind of strung us all along thinking Superman would be a major part of it, and he's kind of like an ancillary character.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen more of Clark Kent than of Superman. We've seen more of Lex Luthor than of Superman. Yeah. But again, it's Jeff Johns, so this shouldn't surprise us.
Not at all. Now, speaking of writers and legendary writers at that, Elliot S. Magan sat down for a chat with Hero Journalism at a recent convention where he discussed what Superman means to him, how he first became a Superman fan, and how he approached Superman stories as a writer. And I think it's an interesting one. I'll play a little bit of the video here, see if I can find the part where he talks about who's the real persona, Superman or Clark Kent. So let me try to kind of forward through it a little bit here. We'll probably skip around a little bit, but let's see if we can find where Magan talks about that particular part.
I would get my hair cut. I finally figured out Superman and Clark were the same guy because I started reading the captions. I never used to read the captions. I thought they were a waste. But I was into the character long before I realized Clark and Superman were the same guy. Nobody told me. When I started writing comics, I think, Cary Bates, Len Wein, and I were the only people who wanted to write Superman. We just thought those were the best characters. The ancillary characters, the supporting characters, the main character. He was authentic. and archetypal at the same time. And I like him because he's a guy. He's a real guy with a personality and concerns. It's very important to him that Clark have a life. It's gotten so important that people don't believe Superman is the real character anymore. That's nonsense. But they think Clark is the real character and he plays Superman. It's the other way around. Clark is a work of art and Superman is a real dense personality.
So there you have it. There is Elliot S. Magan talking about how Superman is the real character and that Clark is the act that he puts on, and that Superman is the real dense personality, the real, the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think that question is now generational. For me, growing up post-crisis, it was Clark Kent was the real guy and Superman was, as Byrne put it, the fancy pair of long johns. But because Superman's been around for 80 years, and because there have been so many iterations of him, like 50 in the last 10 years alone, to me, it kind of, either one works. As long as the stories are good, you can play it any way you want. And it's kind of funny, he mentions that, he and Cary Bates and Len Wein were the ones that really wanted to write Superman in the 70s. And oddly enough, they were the ones that really fleshed Clark out as a character for the first time, especially with those backup features. So it's one of those things where as long as the story is good, it feels right. I have my personal preference, but I'm not going to be all stodgy about it either.
Yeah, I think if anyone's like you and me who probably started really getting into the Superman comic books with the John Byrne era of comic books, or who sees that as their version of the Superman that they prefer, then you have that impression in your mind that Clark is the real person and that Superman is what he can do and is the costume that he puts on to protect his secret identity and to protect his family. But for many a generation growing up earlier than that, Superman was the real thing and Clark was a persona and was the act that he put on so that people wouldn't believe that he and Superman were one and the same. So I guess it can go both ways. It just depends on which version of the character you grow up with or which version of the story is your own personal favourite. And in many ways, I guess there's the Clark Kent that grew up in Smallville, and then there's the Clark Kent that goes to Metropolis and works at the Daily Planet, especially if you look at the Christopher Reeve movies as something, then there is a difference there between the Clark that he is when he's just at home and there's the Clark that he is when he's working at the Daily Planet.
Yeah, one of the things that struck me about that video was he was talking about how he read comics as a kid, and then he went to the barber shop and there were comics at the barber shop, and then he went to the dentist and that the dentist office was just lousy with comics. It's kind of funny because I had a similar experience. The reason why I started picking up the Superman books in '87 was my sisters and I started going into getting braces, orthodonture. And I was too young to be left at home. I wasn't in braces yet because they wanted to wait for my baby teeth to finally all get out. So I would have to sit in the waiting room with my mom and bored out of my skull. And the place was just lousy with comics. And there was this one in particular that really grabbed me. And it was like a week or so later, I was at the grocery store and there it was with the one that preceded it. And that's all led to tonight. So
there you go. It all starts somewhere.
Me having a jacked up grill is what has led to everything I've done online. It's with Superman. So take that for however you really want to take it at this point.
Now, Justin in the comments says, "What about Kal-El? Who is Kal-El?" Well, Kal-El is his Kryptonian name that he was given at birth by Jor-El and Lara. I don't think that there's necessarily a persona of Kal-El because it's his Kryptonian name. I don't think there is a side of his personality that is necessarily Kal-El.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the pre-crisis, the Silver Age and the Bronze Age version of the character, Kal-El and Superman are kind of interchangeable because he did seem to identify more as Kryptonian as an adult, which I think in the Silver Age, outside of the Superboy books, the adult Superman books, stories didn't really give much shrift to the Kents. It's just like as soon as they were dead, he was all about being Kryptonian, which isn't true, but I'm still going to say it. But yeah, like him, he probably thought of himself in the pre-crisis era as Kal-El, but it's not like the Day of the Krypton Man story in the post-crisis era where he became more Kryptonian
and didn't like Earthlings and
didn't like Earthlings and stuff like that. So it's just like the great thing about the Silver Age is that there are some amazing concepts in there. I can't read a bunch of Silver Age stories all in a row because for every Return to Krypton, you have Perry White. You have like 15 stories where Perry White gets amnesia and starts working for gangsters and finds out that Superman's Clark Kent and tries to expose it, but then regains his memory and loses the other. And it's just like, oh, good Lord, I can't. It's just too much. But all of the stuff with Krypton and all of the concepts that they came up with are just amazing, which is why I think the Bronze Age is so spectacular, is because they took all those concepts and just kind of ran with them.
Now, and there are different elements. We're not saying that there's one's better than the other or one's more true to the other. There are different ways that the story has been told over many years. Pick and choose the one you want. Some people think that they're all the same person. There's just a different name that he gives himself when he's wearing a different clothing. But if you watch the George Reeves series, and there isn't a lot of difference between his Clark Kent and his Superman persona. If you listen to the old radio series, there's definitely a difference between the way the character is portrayed. If you watch the Christopher Reeve movies, yes, the stumbling, bumbling Clark Kent is a persona that he puts on, where Superman is more of the true version of himself. And then you got the Dean Cain version, and many other versions across the years, and in the comic books as well. So pick and choose the one you like, and if you're going to tell a Superman story, then pick and choose the way you want to tell it. There is no correct way. It's just whichever story works best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I am of the opinion that if you say I like this version of Superman, you're right. It's that simple. There is no wrong. There really isn't, because it's kind of like James Bond. Everybody has their favorite Bond. There's people that like Sean Connery. There's people that like Roger Moore. My father is not one of them. He was spitting venom about Roger Moore at dinner the other night. I was surprised. I was like, Dad, it's been like almost 50 years. We need to let this go. And some people like Timothy Dalton. And if we're going to go with that analogy, I'm going to compare Timothy Dalton to the Henry Cavill, because it was kind of a different approach to the character, and like traditionalists didn't like it. So, it's just one of those things. I will sit here and tell you the virtues of the post-crisis Superman all day long. I will tell you why it's so great. But in none of that am I going to say it's great because this version is terrible. So, and I think, we preach this all the time. I think more fans need to be like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like saying chocolate or vanilla, and I like both, but I prefer chocolate.
Daniel in the comments asks, remember the story where Perry White got cigars that gave him superpowers? Yes. I do. It's also something that was mentioned in the Superman source book that Mayfair put out in 1988, where they actually go into like the properties of the cigars for the role-playing purposes. And I'm just like, it's like one of those things that makes total sense to me, but if I walked out right now and looked at my wife and said, Perry White smoked cigars that gave him superpowers, she would give me the same look that she gave me when I told her, that Superman dated a mermaid. It's like completely natural to me. Like, there is no question of it. It's like, yeah, didn't everybody date a mermaid in college? I thought that was like a universal experience. But, like normal people are like, that's insane, right?
Are you listening to yourself?
Yeah, but it's so normal to us, and I think that's why you need to have somebody in your life that like checks yourself before you wreck yourself. But on the other hand, I think it's one of the great things about being into Superman is that such crazy I think you have a more imaginative outlook on life. I mean, when like Batman fans, and I'm not talking like I'm talking like certain Batman fans, obviously. I mean, that's a grim outlook to have if that's your favorite character. I want to be the guy with the dead parents who beats up criminals. And, there's cool stuff about Batman, and especially when you get into like Batman 66 and all that. And the fans of that era, I think, are more in line with Superman fans. But just like contemporary Batman fans, it's just like, God, you are a bunch of dismal human beings sometimes.
And thank you to our Batman fans who are listening in right now.
I know,
we appreciate you all.
Hey, look. Next year, you listen to my Batman show, I'll say good things about Batman. But he's on the cover of Action Comics number 1003.
There you go.
So that's important. It's like, is it going to be every third issue now, Bendis? Like he was in Man of Steel number 3. Now he's in Action Comics 1003. So are we going to like in 6 issues get another one?
I'll have to wait and see. All right, we're going to bring our first caller in for the night, and it's our regular caller, Mark Lax, who likes to come in and talk to us, especially about the comic book side of things. So hopefully Mark is tuning in right now. Hello, Mark. Can you hear us? Doesn't sound like... Mark, are you there? Okay. Doesn't look like Mark is... Maybe he's there now. Yep. Mark, hello. Yes, can you hear us?
Yes. Hi. How you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, not too bad.
That's good. What's been happening with you this week?
Oh, nothing much. We just had a big flood. We had this incredible rain that we've never had before here. Everything got flooded. I mean, we're okay. It's just we had this huge flood.
Fun and games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that Florence, Mark?
Is that
Was that from the hurricane?
No, actually it wasn't. It wasn't.
Oh, okay.
It's strange because that was last week. That kind of, that dissipated. But all of a sudden they said, okay, we're going to get some heavy rain. Well, okay, we get heavy rain. And then the parking lot was just flooded. It was up to my car and I just couldn't believe it.
Wow.
I mean, it all receded. Now, but I don't know. I haven't checked the car, so I hope it's not soaking wet.
No
but
fish.
Anyway.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to float away.
What's been happening in the world of Superman for you this week?
First of all, I did see the death of Superman. I got to see that.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I thought it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously they can't do an absolute direct adaptation. We really don't want him to do a direct adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
But close enough. Close enough to the story. They got to the heart of Superman and why people love Superman. And, I mean, it just gave you that feeling of why people were so upset when he died. And then they showed the Bibbo, the stuff with Bibbo, that was from the comics. And it was just, it was really good. And, the voice work and everything. I mean, of course, the new 52 costumes are not my favorite, a little nitpick, but that was like nothing compared to, everything else was just it was really good. It was a lot of fun. And I enjoyed it. And, the little hint, of course, for the reign of the Superman at the end, I mean, I'm really looking forward. I think that's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I got to see that. And, reading the comics. And, so far, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun with them, I mean, they're not perfect. I mean, Bendis has a certain way of writing that a lot of us are familiar with, but I'm not as familiar with than maybe some others, but they're fun. I'm enjoying it. I think I might be enjoying Action a little bit more because it deals a lot with Daily Planet and, all of those characters, and Superman is still Superman, but it's dealing more with that, and I've always enjoyed, talking about, who's the real person, Clark or Superman. I mean, of course, I always feel that Clark's the real guy, but I don't think Superman is his secret identity. I think Superman is, he is Superman. I mean, when he becomes Superman to save the world and whatever he has to do, but when the day is done, he comes home, he's Clark Kent. He grew up on a farm. He was raised by parents. He went to school. He went to the prom, probably had girlfriends. He lived like a human, and that's who he is. But because of the powers that he has, when it's time to, when the world's in trouble or whatever, he switches to the suit and he becomes Superman.
Yeah, no, good point.
So, I mean, I still think more that he's Clark Kent than Superman, but that's my take.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Now, just kind of preempting our question from the big question, Superman the movie. I'm not going to ask you when you first saw it, but any plans for you to see the screening, 40th anniversary screening? Is there a theatre near you that's going to be showing it?
I haven't seen yet if there's a theater around here. If there is, I definitely will. If there's one within within 20 minutes of where I am, I'm sure I will go see it.
Excellent.
So yeah, that would be cool seeing it on again, because it's really been, I'll say, it's been almost 40 years since I've seen it with an audience. So,
yeah, that'll be a cool experience.
So that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Mark. Appreciate you calling in, and it's always great to hear from you.
All right, guys. You take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
That was Mark Lax. Great to hear from him. It's been a couple of weeks since we last heard from him, and always good to get his opinion on certain things. Just looking at some of the comments there. Something about John saying, "I'm not being fair." I'm not kind of looking through it, seeing where that conversation's gone through. But it did rain a little bit here in Australia. Kind of looking back there.
Yeah, I when he was sitting there talking about the fact that the waters went up to the car and all that, I was just had this like devilish thought of if I was ever in a situation where I was safe during a flood, I would definitely throw on like a white wig and a long white robe and like grab a bunch of animals 2 by 2 and just walk by people's houses just to see where that got me. So.
There you go. Well, we're pretty much towards the end of this week's show. Don't forget there are certain things happening with New York Comic Con, some exclusives coming out, some merchandise that's available. Also, Oz Comic Con is on in Sydney this coming weekend. If that's something you were interested in or in the area, get involved in that. Superman the Musical, a version of It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman, is going to be showing in October at the Children's Theatre in Cincinnati. So if that's in your area, then you might want to get across to have a look at that. And for Australian fans, don't forget that I think it's Monday or Sunday, Daylight Savings kicks in. So this show next week will be an hour later for people in the Southern Hemisphere. At the moment it's 12:30 in Sydney time that it starts. Next week it will be on 1:30 Sydney time. So make sure you check out the time shift in your area, and I believe you guys do come out of daylight saving is in November.
Yeah, it'll probably be second or third week of November. Okay. We fall back.
Yes,
as they say.
So we'll keep an eye on that and inform you of any changes in time that might affect you. But that is it for tonight's show. Before we do sign off, I'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode of WGBS TV Live, and thank all those who were in the comments there on Facebook, and to Mark Lax who called in, and to you, my co-host Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
Now, a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Tina Murray, Douglas Meacham and Henry Bernstein. And if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, please head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, where you too can be a sponsor for as little as $3. Now, the complete 1 hour video of tonight's show will remain available on the Superman homepage website and our Facebook page if you'd like to watch it back or perhaps miss part of the show. But we'll be back next week on Tuesday, October 2nd at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. Look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.